Hi everybody! Today we're going to be baking French macarons. So the tools and the ingredients you will need are all here. So let's quickly go through what they are. So you're going to need almond flour. We have confectioner's sugar, parchment paper, granulated sugar. You'll need the food coloring. And because we're going to be filling our macaron shells with chocolate ganache, I have some chocolate chips here. So as far as equipment, we have an electric hand mixer, we have a small food processor, we have our measuring cup and our scale, we have a fine mesh sieve, toothpick or two, and then we'll have a large glass bowl. We have a piping bag with a little tip and a pair of scissors to cut the end of the bag. So let's get started. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna measure our dry ingredients. As I mentioned, you'll need the scale, so it's very important to be precise. We're gonna measure 71 grams of almond flour. You're gonna put it in the food processor, and then we're gonna measure 117 grams of confectioner's sugar. Combine them in the food processor a little bit. We're gonna separate our egg whites and our egg yolks. If you get even the slightest bit of egg yolks or any fat on your hands, the meringue will not work. That's the reason why we use glass or stainless steel, because plastics have the tendency to absorb fat, and that affects how the meringue will whip up. We're gonna add the sugar to our egg whites. We're gonna get this two whipped up using our electric mixer. And I prefer using the hand mixer because there's an exact point you have to stop. And if you don't, there's a chance you can over whip the meringue and have too much air in your batter. So you could see that it's definitely a lot stiffer than the last time we checked. We're looking for this glossy, shiny meringue. And actually it's the exact point we stop because we don't want to over whip our meringue. So now we're going to use our fine mesh sieve, and we're going to sieve the dry ingredients into the bowl with the wet ingredients, and then after that we're going to combine them together and go through a process that's called macaronage. We're looking for a certain consistency. You can take your spatula with some batter on it and try to write the number 8, and if you could do it without the batter breaking, then you're there. So we're going to be adding our batter to our piping bag here. You could use this very cool technique where you brush some lines. You get this little special effect. So we could do that. You could obviously add the food coloring. I have some pretty pinks here. You could use red, whatever colors you'd like. So I'm only gonna do half of our batter because I'm gonna try to color the rest of our batter. This part is actually fairly easy, but for some reason makes people nervous because there really isn't a circle that I'm piping into, but you could see I'm piping in and it flows into a circle, so don't be intimidated by this at all. So once you're done piping, you're gonna tap your tray. So here we go. So you could see the air bubbles, right, coming up. So you'd use your toothpick to kind of pop any air bubbles that still remain or kind of patch up. At this point, we can add sprinkles. You know, anytime I'm doing something in the kitchen, it gives me a chance to treat it as a form of art, and you could do it with your friends, you could do it with your children. Always a lot of fun. So we're gonna have to be patient and wait about 30 minutes, and we'll check if the skin is formed. Next, we're gonna make our chocolate ganache to put in between the two cookies. We have some boiling heavy whipping cream. We're gonna pour that over our chocolate chips. Let the mixture sit for about a minute before we mix it up. Okay, so here we go. We got our chocolate chips to melt. We're back to check on our shells. So the test is that you touch it and it's not sticking to my finger. So we're ready to get this in the oven, 300-degree oven for 15 minutes. So now our macarons are out of the oven. We need to give them a couple of minutes just to completely cool down before we take them off the parchment paper. And so you can see the little feet, and this is why we waited. So we're ready to assemble our macarons. We're at the stage where we're gonna fill our piping bag with some chocolate ganache, and I also had previously prepared a rosewater buttercream that I'm planning on using as a second filling, just to give us some variety. We have our little pistachios. We're gonna take the top shell and the bottom one, and there you have it. We have a beautiful plate of French macarons. Let's try them. So I'm gonna try one of the chocolate hearts. Soft and chewy on the inside and crunchy on the outside. This beautiful macaron that's very tasty for all of us who are chocolate lovers out there with the chocolate ganache. And let's maybe try one of the other ones now, the rosewater pistachio. Very soft rosewater taste. The pistachio with its crunch and a little bit of saltiness goes wonderfully with the shells. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you dared to try this French macarons. And even though this sounds very complicated and people out there will make it sound like it's impossible for home bakers to actually try, I would highly encourage you to follow the recipe, try it, be adventurous. You're really going to enjoy the process and you'll master the making of French macarons. Enjoy it with your friends and family, and I'll see you next time.